Trump is confident China won't make a move on Taiwan as long as he's in office.
Because they know the consequences.
Taiwan's doing what it can to speed up arms deliveries from the U.S. amid mounting delays. U.S. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth is in South Korea boosting regional security ties. Plus,
说我们这一次去，你有去救灾，好，我们都是从宽认定。
disaster cleanup volunteers are getting help themselves with free counseling sessions. A warm welcome to Taiwan Plus News. I'm Leslie Liao. U.S. President Donald Trump made some surprising comments about Taiwan in an interview with CBS. This comes after his meeting with Chinese President Xi Jinping last week in South Korea, where the two leaders struck trade deals. Our reporter Tiffany Wong has been following the story and joins us now live from Taipei. Tiffany, what exactly did Trump say?
Hi, Leslie. Well, Trump had a strong message for China during his interview with American broadcaster CBS, saying that China, quote, understands what's going to happen should a war break out in the Taiwan Strait. Take a listen.
They understand what's going to happen, and he has openly said, and his people have openly said at meetings, we would never do anything while President Trump is president, because they know the consequences.
Trump's remarks came after he met with Chinese President Xi Jinping on the sidelines of the APEC summit in South Korea last week. Now, he said that Taiwan didn't come up in their conversation, and in the interview with CBS, he declined to specify how exactly Chinese President Xi Jinping would know what's going to happen, saying that he didn't want to give away his secrets. But later in the interview, he also lauded his involvement in allegedly ending 8 wars using economic pressure.
All right, Tiffany, what's been the reaction to his comments? Anything from Taiwan or China?
Well, Taiwan's foreign ministry has praised Trump's comments, saying that they support regional stability and are in line with U.S. policy towards Taiwan. Take a listen.
外交部长林佳龙表示，外交部欢迎美国总统川普及美方多位官员近日的公开谈话，明确展现美国对台政策的一贯立场。尤其在中国持续破坏区域和平稳定之际，相关谈话更具重要意义。
The U.S. has long followed a policy of strategic ambiguity, meaning that they won't outright commit to coming to Taiwan's defense should a war break out in the Taiwan Strait, but are still remaining Taiwan's biggest backer and defense supplier. Now, a spokesperson for the Chinese embassy in Washington told the Associated Press that China wouldn't allow any force to separate Taiwan from China. We'll be keeping an eye out for more comments on this from both Taiwan and China.
All right, thank you, Tiffany. That was Tiffany Wong with the latest on Trump's interview with CBS. Taiwan is doing all it can to speed up deliveries of U.S. arms. That's according to Defense Minister Wellington Koo, who says the U.S. side has also set up a special office for certain weapons orders.
主要的武器装备的案项大概就25案嘛，那有些在交易的期程当中有一些。 都有提前交易的状况。那这3个案项的部分，我想我们也会加速来进行这个履约的督导。那美方也成立专案办公室。
Koo was speaking to the legislature about delayed deliveries of F-16V fighter jets, certain glide bombs, and heavy torpedoes. The jets alone cost more than $8 billion and were originally scheduled for delivery by the end of next year. The ministry says the manufacturer is currently running the assembly line 20 hours a day to overcome delays. Koo also gave updates on another delayed project, Taiwan's domestically made submarine, the Haikun, saying the defense ministry will fine the shipbuilder for failing to meet deadlines.
这个技法，它是一个督促其尽最大的努力来完成合约的一个手段，所以技法本身并不是目的。我想建造完成才是我们最大的一个期待。
The Haikun was originally meant to be delivered in November, but it's only finished part of its testing. For more on how delays in U.S. weapons deliveries could impact Taiwan, our reporter Larry Yisiano spoke with defense expert Yang Taiyuan from the Secure Taiwan Association Corporation.
Can you elaborate a little bit on why you think that these delays are happening and what their origin is?
我觉得第一个可能就是美国的，可能它现在军工生产很大一块可能是专注在支援乌克兰、支援以色列，也就所以当然对我们这种目前来讲面临危机可能不是那么大的国家，它可能交际的速度就没有那么快。那第二个，我在想是不是相对于美国最近就因为它相关稀土或者晶片的问题，现在最大一个讨论问题是说，如果你说你交机延迟，那可能是慢交了几件，那可能大家都还能接受。现在是说，正常来讲你应该要交了多少，可是你到现在一架都没有，可能就是国人很大一个疑问，可能是存在这个部分。
Do you think the decision to seek compensation could negatively affect U.S.-Taiwan relations?
那按照过往的经验来讲，就是我们向美国如果提出相关的他的违约赔偿要求等等，基本上大概我们能够达到目标的机会很小。那我在想，他是不是在某些合作方面可能会给我们提供一些便利，作为相对的一个变相的一个赔偿？我觉得这方面当然可以去考虑，而不是直接去考虑说，美国因为延迟的，所以他要赔多少钱给我们？这可能现实面可能是比较不现实的。
Can you explain what the backlog is in total and what it means? Are these weapons that Taiwan has paid for but has not received yet? Or are these weapons that have been agreed upon but payment and delivery has not happened yet?
我觉得这些210亿可能是从过去到现在累加起来的一个数量。那也就是说，相对的，其实美国收到钱以后，它可能当然这里边它没有按时生产、按时交付给我们。但其实这里边可能我们要去思考一个问题，也就是说，其实延迟以后，可能我们面临的是美国可能会因为物价、人工或者它相关的像稀土取得成本变高以后，那美国会不会因为超过我们合约规定的一定的比例的价金以后，美国会不会要求我们重新谈判，再调整相关售价？可能这是我们要去思考的，而不是说我们现在只单纯是说，我们付了那么多钱。
That was defense expert Yang Taiyuan. Taiwan is moving toward sharing its high-tech manufacturing know-how as leverage in trade talks with the U.S. That's according to Taiwan's envoy to APEC, who met with American officials on the sidelines of last week's conference.
领袖代表就是财政部长 Bessent， 我们有了一个比较广泛范围的沟通他对我们的状况他也很有兴趣。另外，我也跟他特别提到，台湾你美国制造业要重视这个制造业，台湾的制造业是有很多的强项。
Ling spoke at the presidential office on Monday about his trip to the APEC summit in South Korea. Taiwan and the U.S. are engaged in ongoing trade talks to lower American levies on Taiwanese goods. U.S. President Trump has slapped a 20% tariff on Taiwan on top of existing levies. Taipei has repeatedly said it's proposed sharing its high-tech manufacturing knowledge with the U.S. to gain favor with Washington. The plan seems to be moving along, with talks beginning to focus more on the fine details.
我们各种资源、土地、水电，还有人才培育这些议题，我们都谈到了。税的问题、签证的问题都谈到了。这些问题，我们希望美方能够协助的，包括地方政府跟联邦政府，他们都觉得非常合理。
Trade talks between Washington and Taipei are ongoing, and the two sides have yet to reach an agreement. U.S. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth is in South Korea on the latest leg of a tour aimed at reinforcing America's focus on a delicate region. From North Korea to Chinese activity around Taiwan and the South China Sea, there's plenty for the U.S. to watch closely, but it's not the only country taking action in Asia. John Van Trieste has this regional defense update.
U.S. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth arrives in South Korea. It's the latest leg in a wider tour of Asia aimed at reinforcing U.S. security commitments in the region. Over 2 days, he'll meet with South Korea's defense minister and visit the demilitarized zone, the area separating South and North Korea. Washington and Seoul are concerned about the North, but the U.S. also has its eye on China, in particular, Beijing's threats against Taiwan and its push to assert its claims in the South China Sea, ignoring an international court ruling that's rejected them. The U.S. also hopes to convince Seoul to continue to garrison U.S. troops on Korean soil, ready to intervene if a conflict breaks out. The South China Sea has been a particular focus of Hegseth's tour so far. Taiwan, Vietnam, the Philippines, Malaysia, and Brunei all claim parts of the sea. But China has used its Coast Guard to back up its claims, sometimes forcefully. And so, the U.S. has been getting closer to some of the counter-claimants, like Vietnam, where on Sunday, Hegseth had this to say.
The Trump administration supports a strong and independent Vietnam as a mutually beneficial partner. So we want to expand our partnership together and work to advance our shared interests.
With China in the background, the U.S. is starting to supply Vietnam with military hardware, and Vietnam hopes more will come, easing a reliance on Russia for arms.
The U.S. Secretary of War's visit to Vietnam holds significant importance, coinciding with the 30th anniversary of diplomatic relations and reinforcing the comprehensive strategic partnership for peace, cooperation, and sustainable development, as well as deepening bilateral defense ties between the two countries.
But the United States isn't the only country with an eye on China and the Indo-Pacific. Canada's defense minister is in the region too. He's just signed a pact with the Philippines to boost defense cooperation Sunday. Under the pact, the two countries' troops will be able to train on each other's soil. It's the first agreement of its kind Canada signed with a partner in the region. And it further boosts Canada's long support for the Philippines' position against Chinese claims in the South China Sea, as well as Canadian support for a rules-based international order.
That peace is built on rules, not recklessness, and that stability grows from cooperation, not confrontation. The Philippines has shown true leadership in upholding international law and in seeking the peaceful resolution of disputes. And for that, you have Canada's greatest and deepest respect.
This is the fifth such pact the Philippines has signed, and its defense minister is pleased with the outcome.
This agreement converges all these interests into one of the most important projections of trust and confidence between nations, that our armed forces and defense establishments can converge, can work together, not only bilaterally, but with other like-minded partners to preserve and enforce peace and stability.
Faced with an increasingly assertive China just off its coast, Manila wants more such pacts, specifically with France and the UK. It was only Saturday that ASEAN defense chiefs and partners like the US and China issued a joint statement calling for collaboration for peace in the region. But US and Canadian moves suggest the political fault lines under the Asia-Pacific region aren't going away anytime soon. Andy Xue and John Van Trieste for TaiwanPlus.
The Trump-Xi meeting last week may not have eased U.S.-China trade tensions completely. U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent is now warning of potential new tariffs on Beijing if it carries out threats to restrict rare earth exports.
The rare earth magnets, the Chinese have cornered the market, and unfortunately, at times, they've proved to be unreliable partners.
Bessent told Fox News Sunday that the U.S. has the means to counter China's control over rare earths, the critical materials used in many modern devices. He earlier told the Financial Times the U.S. could secure alternative supplies within 2 years. His comments come just days after Presidents Trump and Xi agreed in South Korea not to escalate their trade war. Meanwhile, U.S. President Donald Trump says he won't allow NVIDIA's cutting-edge AI chips to be sold in China.
NVIDIA is really just a brilliant company. The chips are 10 years. The new Blackwell that just came out, it's 10 years ahead of every other chip. But no, we don't give that chip to other people.
In his interview with CBS News 60 Minutes, Trump said NVIDIA could still operate in China, but its most advanced chips would be limited to the U.S. market. This marks a shift from August when he suggested a pared-down version of the Blackwell could be available to China. But in recent days, a number of U.S. officials came out against the sale, saying it could accelerate Beijing's AI and military capabilities. Trump said the topic of AI chips did not come up in his talks with President Xi last week. Coming up after the break, we sit down with Taiwan's first Olympic boxing champion to find out what it takes to make it to the top.
Thank you for sharing our passion for food and Taiwan. Veggie Island explores the vibrant world of plant-based cuisine.
Wow, this is amazing.
While Taiwan on the Rocks uncovers the stories and craftsmanship behind every sip.
Have you ever tried Taiwanese beer?
Are you ready to taste even more of Taiwan?
In the face of adversity, the power of truth.
A roadmap for a just and open world, charted by the freest country in Asia.
Taipei for TaiwanPlus.
TaiwanPlus News, a voice of freedom in Asia.
Welcome back. You're watching TaiwanPlus News. Rescue workers and volunteers are still working to clean up flooded towns on Taiwan's east coast over a month after deadly storms forced people there to evacuate. The difficult work has taken a toll, but now authorities are offering to pay for mental health services for them. Tiffany Wong has the details.
After weeks of working tirelessly, shoveling mud and clearing away debris, people in this part of eastern Taiwan are feeling the effects. Since September, rescue workers have been joined by volunteers from across the country to help with recovery work in Guangfu Township. That's after a nearby natural dam burst, flooding the area and killing 19 people. Now the health ministry is trying to help these good Samaritans, giving them 3 free mental health counseling sessions over the next year.
我们是直接会付这个费用给这个服务的提供单位，所以是不需要付费的。至于身份的话，你只要是这个很简单的，比如说我们这一次去，你有去救灾，我们都是从宽认定。
Rescue workers are urged to seek help if they notice changes in their habits and behaviors. Over 600 clinics across the country have joined the program, which will run through next October.
通常都是可能会出现超过1个礼拜，而且蛮明显影响我的生活。比如说我变得我没有办法去上班，比如说我很容易紧张，这些迹象就找医生来询问一下。
The health ministry has set aside $650,000 to help with relief efforts, including mental health services for displaced survivors. As rescue workers seek to rebuild Guangfu, they're also encouraged to check in on themselves, as officials try to minimize the physical and mental tolls on everyone affected by the disaster. Klein Wong and Tiffany Wong for TaiwanPlus.
A team of researchers is working to locate and learn more about the mountain hawk eagle, the strongest yet most elusive raptor in Taiwan. With its population shrinking due to poaching and habitat loss, the researchers say it's now more urgent than ever to protect them. Irene Lin has more.
Climbing the tree for a close-up look at this fledgling mountain hawk eagle, the most powerful raptor in Taiwan. A team from National Pingtung University of Science and Technology has been trying to track down the elusive bird for years. After numerous visits in the mountains of the northeastern county of Yilan, the team finally located a new nest and attached a satellite tag on the bird inside.
就是可以知道幼鸟离巢之后它的活动范围，它的走的路径是怎么样的状况，对，然后离巢的存活率是怎么样。
Native to the central mountain range that stretches north to south in Taiwan, the mountain hawk eagle has historically been a status symbol for some indigenous nations, mesmerizing people with its majestic build and feathers, which have a signature triangular pattern that disappears once it matures. But as commercial demand for its feathers grows, its population has dwindled to around 1,000 due to poaching and habitat loss. That's why the team is keeping track of each of the tagged birds to learn more about how to protect the species.
这个是7月23以后的点位，它可能就是在整个山谷里面都有可能到处活动。
Mountain hawk eagles fly only about an hour a day, and their habitat sits deep in the mountains. As the team carries on the research, humans may learn how to be more respectful of the species and the space we share with it. Li Yanglian and Irene Lin for TaiwanPlus.
In a new book, Olympic gold medalist boxer Ling Yuting is unveiling her journey to becoming Taiwan's first ever Olympic boxing champion. She shares how pain, discipline, and perseverance shaped her rise to the top and why boxing is far more than just a sport. Our reporter Sandy Chi sat down with her for our long-form interview show Zoom In, Zoom Out to dive into more.
So it seems like boxing is not just about your technique, your strength, and it's also performance. How do you manage it? Like, how do you make yourself seem like you're not tired or you feel like you are losing?
这些就是在归咎于你平常训练的累积，就是你只要对于你自己的训练足够的有信心，然后你可以去掌握你自己比赛的内容，去发挥出来。你怎么样去冷静的在场上？去知道说，清楚的知道你在场上，你这个时候该做什么样的事情。你可能落后，但是你不能急，你不能展现出你很紧张、很慌张的样子，然后想要去追拳，不行，这是大忌。你在对战当中，对手可能想要激怒你，不能轻易的被对手激怒，因为你激怒了，你就会失去思考，失去冷静。那打到的时候，你会露出更大破绽，被对手打。所以这种东西就是你在场上，你的 EQ 要高 ，IQ 也要高，对你才有办法去面对。比赛怎么样去冷静的去思考每一件事情，运筹帷幄这种感觉。
It seems very complicated. Like, how do you do it? Tell us about your training.
当然就是一定是透过日积月累，然后不断的精进自己，打磨自己的技术，才有办法走到今天。那其实打拳击更多的是一个经验之谈，就是你上了场，你这个亏吃多了，你就会学到经验，你就会知道啊。这个拳下一个就是什么拳要来，你就大概知道要预防什么。啊，被打到没有关系嘛？对，不可能，我们不可能不被打到。就像我们职业拳王麦克泰森，他们不可能不被打到。但是被打到之后，我们要去怎么做？这才是我们的那个就是我们智慧的所在。对，被打到了，我要怎么样去把这个失掉的分再得回来，然后赢得这场比赛？智慧非常重要。
So I was wondering, regarding your training, when you first started boxing, I understand that there were not many girls in it. Like, how did you train? You had to train with guys as well, right? With young boys.
你都知道，男生的速度比你快，拳比你重，你不可能完美的闪掉对手的攻击。那这样怎么办？我只能防守挡住嘛。最笨的方式就是挡完之后反击，但是我总不可能全部去承受男生的那种重拳嘛，所以我们只能透过他看。我发现他要出拳，我赶快去干扰他出拳的路径，不要完全扎扎实实的打在自己的身上。挡完之后，我再去反击。透过这样的方式，久而久之，我自己的身体的抗击打能力啊也会提升，然后自己的反应啊，或者是自己观察，我大概知道你要出拳，我透过那些细节的观察来提升自己。久而久之，你看你可以跟男生打成这样，那你跟女生打，应该可以更加的容易。所以其实。我们也是要花很多的时间跟精力，跟金钱到国外去跟那些顶尖的女子运动员去跟他们训练，因为毕竟我的对手最终还是这些选手，所以我们还是要找机会想方设法去跟他们交手，交手完之后才知道怎么样可以掌握出我们要用什么样的策略跟技巧去战胜他们。
Well, it seems that you had a lot of people behind you supporting you all the way, and by 2024 you finally made it to the Paris Olympics and you actually got the country's very first gold medal. Can you tell me, like, what did you learn the most from the event?
我学到更多的是，韬光养晦，对，就是因为在奥运之前就是经历了很多事情风波嘛，对，然后导致我，就是人家会质疑嘛，会有声音嘛，但我们就是耐心的去准备好自己，然后把自己精进自己的实力，充实自己的能力，然后等到比赛关键的那一时刻，我们再把我们所有的能力全部展现出来，对，然后一鸣惊人，拿到金牌，对啊，算是在那一段时期，算是对自己的一个学习到的东西。
That was Taiwanese boxer Ling Yuting. You can find her full interview on Zoom and Zoom Out, available on the TaiwanPlus website and YouTube. Taiwan's top badminton pair have secured gold at the 2025 Hilo Open in Germany over the weekend. Ranked 21st in the world, the men's doubles team, Wang Qiling and Qiu Xiangjie, defeated Indonesia's duo in the final. Wang and Qiu have been playing together since after the 2024 Paris Olympics. They also claimed the men's double title at the Yonex Taipei Open this May. And thank you for watching Taiwan Plus News. You can visit the Taiwan Plus website or follow our social media for more stories from Taiwan and around the world. Finally, let's end today with an annual zombie walk parade in Brazil. I'm Leslie Liao. Take care and see you next time.